Hello everyone and welcome back to Matt for French Cars. In today's video I'm gonna show you how to do a quick service on a 2007 Peugeot 107 with a 1-liter petrol engine. Same procedure will apply for Citroen C1 and also Toyota Aygo, as it's pretty much the same car. And we're gonna be replacing our oil filter, air filter and also our spark plugs on this car. So the first thing you want to do, as always, you want to make sure that your handbrake is on, and then we're going to pop the hood. The latch is just here on the passenger side and you can pop your hood. Then you're going to need to stick your finger down here and you have your bonnet open. This little thing here goes in a hole here, and that's gonna hold your bonnet open for you. So I'm gonna start this job from replacing an air filter and the spark plugs. Once I get that out of the way, then I'm gonna be replacing an oil filter and oil. So in here we have 4 clips holding this side of this air intake manifold in place. So once you undo these 4 clips, you can wiggle this side a little bit, and then what you want to do, you want to lift this side a little bit and then put your hand behind and lift the back a little bit and then just push it towards you. In that way you'll be able to remove the stop, and then as you can see, your old air filter is visible and these ignition coils which hides spark plugs are also visible for you. So now we're gonna need a 10mm socket and ratchet, and then we're gonna be able to undo these ones. So I'm gonna start from replacing in spark plugs. 10mm socket, do anti-clockwise, loosen all these bolts up. There we are. And now with these bolts undone, what you can do is you can just gently lift this one, and this bit is just gonna go on the side somewhere here, and we're gonna do each spark plug individually. Once one is done, then I'll move on to a second and a third one. So now I'm gonna need a long reach spark plug key, or I actually don't have one, so I'm just going to use the long socket for the spark plug and extension. So as you can see here, I have a long socket and extension. I'm just going to pop onto that spark plug and then simply undo it anti-clockwise. Okay, I actually decide to show you the little trick on how to remove a spark plug in such a deep hole. So when you have your either a spark plug tool or you have something like I do, what you want to do is you just want to put a bit of kitchen towel or something inside here, and then when you're going to put on top of the spark plug, it should get stuck and come out like this. In that way you'll be able to lift it up out of its place, and as you can see, we have a nice empty hole now ready for the new spark plug. Right my guys, so before we stick a new spark plug in, what I wanted to show you is this car had NGK whatever spark plugs, so it's exactly same spark plugs which I'm going to be using today to replace these old ones with. Only thing I wanted to show you is the difference. Here is a new spark plug and here is the old one, and I will try to show you my best so you could see the difference here is quite a big difference in the end of the spark plug where it gives a spark. This old spark plug looks like it's been worn out quite a lot, so it's probably not been replaced for a long time. So I'm quite glad I decided to replace the spark plugs as well, and that's what it's gonna have now, brand new spark plugs, and exactly same like the ones it had before. So the spark plugs we're gonna be using is a NGK brand and is a 57881s. Right, let's get on to it then. And so now I'm just gonna use the same kind of technique, and I'm gonna be lower the new spark plug into the place of the old spark plug. So I'm gonna stick a bit of kitchen towel here in the end of the thingy socket. I'm gonna stick my new spark plug in like that, just to lower it down without smashing it into the place. So once I lower it down, and now spark plug, as you can see, stays the way it should stay in a hole, and the kitchen towel is still here. So now I can remove this kitchen towel and start to do up my spark plug. Alright, so let's do it up, and it does up clockwise. Okay, maybe tiny bit more, and it does up nicely, and we have a brand new spark plug in a hole. Right, so now what we need to do is just we need to stick this thing back in nice and gentle, and then we're gonna do up this 10mm bolt here. Right, that looks all good. So now we're gonna move on and do the number 2 one. Okay, so we're gonna just pull this one out. Everything is nice and clean. It's all good. We're gonna be undo this spark plug as well. Looks like it's loose now. It's undone properly. And then it comes out just like that. And this one, as you can see as well, I'm not sure if you can see, I hope you can see the end of it as proper wound. So now we're going to use the same thing and just stick the new one in. Here we are, brand new. You can turn it over and then just pull out and remove that excess kitchen towel inside, and then just do up the spark plug the way it should be done up. It's almost all the way in. So now we're just going to be tightening up the spark plug. Once it's nice and tight, what do, just stick this ignition coil back in, and then do up ignition coil, 10mm socket. Don't do it too tight, as you are risking to crack this plastic here. So just do it tight enough, and that's it. That'll do the job. And now we're gonna move on to this third spark plug here. Just gonna try to position my camera. Right, so we have one more to go. There's a bit, and one more spark plug to take out. They all seem to come out harder and harder. The first one was the easiest one. Second one was a bit harder. The third one is proper cooked in. Right, so now it's coming out. It's only 3 spark plugs, 3-cylinder engine, very tiny engine, one of a tiny. Right, so I just stick my socket back on. I try to remove this last spark plug, and as you can see here, same, it's really burned out. I'm sure it still works, engine works okay, but I'm sure it'll be much better, and I will know it's new, so I'll feel happier if all spark plugs been replaced. So let's stick the new one back in now. Right, so with new spark plug ready, you're just gonna stick it back in place nicely. Try to do up a bit, remove this. So now just doing up the last spark plug. Up. Do it up nice and tight, and that's it. Once it's done up, what you want to do is you just want to let this guy get into here, same, and just put that 10mm bolt back in here. And then just do up that 10mm bolt securing the coil up. And once again, not too tight, because you don't want to break plastic, but tight enough just to hold it nicely in place. Right, so now we're going to be going and getting a new air filter and replacing this one. So to take out this air filter, it just comes off like this. It's quite a basic one. As you can see, it's not been replaced for a while, and I'm just gonna go grab my hoover it out here, and I'm gonna be installing a new one. So now with this area hoovered out, what I'm gonna be doing is I'm just gonna be taking this new air filter. It just looks all new and nice, and I'm gonna be installing it back in place like this. And then what we need to do here, actually I'm thinking what's the best way to install this, and I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, should be sticking like this into here. like that. So you can try that as well, and simply turn this around like this, hold it up, make sure that air filter doesn't fall out, and all the clips are into the sides, and then just put it on like that. And this is very important thing, is this low place here. You just want to make sure it goes in nicely into that, and also this little breather here, the little pipe here, as you can see, I'll show you, this rubber pipe goes on top of that and it just nicely secures it. Once that's done, you can push it up both sides of this cover, and what you want to do is you want to do up them 4 clips. With that being done, now you have your new spark plugs and also new air filter installed. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and start the car and make sure that it does not getting any air from somewhere outside rather than here, and also that obviously spark plugs does the job and the engine works. So we're just gonna start it up and have a look. Yeah, you can feel a big difference with an old air filter. You could barely feel anything here, and now I can feel the bit of suction, and that's what you want to feel. It's not too much because I'm not accelerating, but if I would, you can do here. Yeah, that feels good. So now we're gonna carry on and change the oil and oil filter. Right, so now with my car jacked up, and also you can see behind the back wheel, I put a little brakes just to kind of keep it more secure so it doesn't roll backwards. What I'm gonna be doing now is just I'm gonna be undoing this oil cap here anti-clockwise. I'm just gonna leave it here, and that's gonna help me in a way that the oil which is inside the engine, which is old, it'll be able to come out much easier with this cap undone. So now we're gonna go under the car. As you can see here, I have this old toolbox, which is gonna be ideal as an oil catch tray just to catch the old oil. And we're gonna need a 14mm socket to undo the sump plug, and the oil filter will be located right next to it. I'll show you just in a second. Right, my guys, so now we are under the car, under the engine. Location of a sump plug is just here, and the oil filter is also right next to it, just here. We're gonna start from the undoing a sump plug and releasing the engine oil. We're gonna need a 14mm spanner or socket with a ratchet, which I'm using in my case, and undo it anti-clockwise. Once it's undone a little bit, it will be coming out easy. So what you can do is you can place your oil catch of any sort you have in here, and then you'll be trying to catch all of that oil. Right, so this all looks lovely. As you can see, the old oil is coming into the oil catch, and as you can see, the sump plug has a little copper washer on it. We're going to be replacing that one as well. So now we're just going to let the old oil come out, and then we'll be removing this oil filter as well. So with the old oil out of a sump, I'm just going to be installing this sump plug back in so that it would stop leaking here for a second. I will tighten it up in a second. Just want to move this to the side a little bit so I could show you what I'm going to be using to undo the oil filter here, which is located here. I'm going to be using one of these grablers I got from one of the auto part shops.
So I've never done it with this one before, to be honest. Not really something I normally use, but I will try my best to get it undone with this and see how it goes. Right, so see how this is gonna go. I seem to be undoing it quite a bit. Right, so it looks like it's coming off, as you can see, and then there's oil gonna be going again, because there is some oil, so I'm just gonna put my catcher here, catch this oil too. There's quite a bit of oil here. I'm just gonna be undoing this old oil filter. As you can see, here it is. And yeah, I'm just going to be placing in the same catch for the time being, and this oil I'll wait till it's all out, and then we will be installing a new oil filter just here. Right, so here we have our new oil filter, and what we want to do here is literally just maybe take a little tiny bit of the new oil, and I'm using a 5W30 I'm gonna use for this car. It's for petrol and diesel engines. That's normally the oil I use on all my Peugeots. Can be semi-synthetic. This one is a fully synthetic though. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take just a tiny bit of oil and just put around here. Sometimes it helps for it to kind of bed in a little bit. So just to do that, and that's all I'm gonna do. And then this oil, I'm just gonna close it up and leave it on the side till I install this oil filter and tight up the sump plug back up. So I'm gonna be using the same kind of tool as well to install the new oil filter to tighten it up. But first you can do it up by hand. Make sure you catch it nicely. You should just turn nicely like this, and to be honest, you should be able to tighten up most of it just by hand. Then for extra reassurance, I am gonna be using a bit of this tool. Right. So once I get it on, I just tighten it up a little bit, and that'll be it. Make sure it doesn't leak through the sides or anything like that. And that is now nice and tight. So now we can just tighten up our sump plug with a 14mm head here. So I'm just gonna get 14mm ratchet and tight up clockwise this sump plug. Make sure it's nice and tight, and that's it. Now all we need to do is just to fill up fresh oil in our engine. Right, so last thing before you put a new fresh oil back into your engine, you want to make sure maybe that your measurement thing is clean. So just take a bit of kitchen towel or whatever, or just a wipe of some sort, and measure. When we're gonna fill up the oil, we're gonna make sure is in between this and this dot, most probably towards like full. So it's gonna be roughly about 3 liters, maybe 3 liters, 100 milliliters, something like that, because that's the normally a fill up capacity for this engine, just over 3 liters. So with my measurement being clean, now what I can do is just put a funnel and put 3 liters of the fresh oil back into the engine. So now I fill up around 2 liters. I'm gonna go ahead and do 1 more liter. Around 2.5 now. And this is around 3 liters. So I'm just gonna have a look. What is my measurement thing here saying on a level? And it looks like is wet up to the second dot. So I think this is it. We don't need more. It's full with oil. Let me just double check it. Just gonna stick this back in. Difficult to show because oil is very clear, but yeah, it looks like it's definitely up to the second dot. So I will be leaving this car like that with 3 liters of oil for a day of driving or so, and then when it's cold I'm gonna measure the oil level again to make sure it's still kind of within the dots on a measuring stick, and if it is, then I'll be happy with that and just leave it. And if it falls down a little bit, because some oil has to go in the oil filter, I'll be putting some extra oil back in. Right everyone, so now with new spark plugs installed, air filter, oil filter and oil being replaced, this little car is ready to go. And I hope you guys find this video useful, and if you did, then just please hit subscribe, stick around. There'll be more videos coming up, especially now we have another 508 for fixing, and also good old 407 there. Low 107 still needs a lot of work to be done on it, so there's gonna be plenty of videos coming up. So yeah, I hope you're gonna have a good rest of your day, and see you in the next video.